Hello?
Hi, hello, is this Tommy Bryson? Is this Chris?
Yeah, this is him.
All right, just want to let you know that this call is going to be recorded and potentially uploaded to YouTube. Is that cool?
Yeah, that's cool. I got you.
All right, bro. So how can I help you?
All right, hold on. I'm gonna pull up the questions right now because I got a few.
All right, all right, all right.
Oh yeah, and by the way, I reserved the 4:30 to 5 as well, just because at first I reserved the 4:30 to 5, but then
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really know how Calendly worked, so then I
Okay.
thought I didn't reserve it, so I reserved this slot as well.
All right, that's fine. That's fine. So I just choose this slot.
Yeah. All right.
All right, so go ahead, brother.
So my first question is, basically I was in a car accident, I think 2 months ago,
Mm-hmm.
and now I'm left without a car, and
Okay.
basically I've just been looking everywhere for a car. I've tried OfferUp, but there's a bunch of scams. I've tried, looking around my neighborhood, but the cars aren't really, in good condition.
Yeah.
Recently I had to return a good Toyota
Mm-hmm.
because of the fact that the seller was sketchy. He didn't even have a title to it.
Yeah.
Um, so my question is just you have any recommendations on how I could find an affordable like Honda or Toyota on sale in my state?
All right, and by the way, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
All right, awesome. All right. So the first thing is that you had a car accident. So I'm asking if you're okay because that's a big thing, man.
Yeah,
Um.
not it's because I live in Jersey,
Mm-hmm.
and it was snowing really badly, and
Oh
I'm
wow.
19, so
Yeah.
I didn't really have too much experience, and I'm not really around people who give advice. They kind
Yeah.
of just live on with their lives.
Mm-hmm.
So I never really understood the term your car can lose control.
Yeah.
It never made sense to me. I always thought like, hey, if you have control of the car,
Yeah.
the car can never lose control. But
Yeah.
then, it was put into an analogy where, it's like if you're walking on ice, even if you're walking slow and perfectly, your equilibrium could be thrown off.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it hit me. But, I was taught that after. So
Okay.
basically, I was on the highway. I was in the middle lane. Everybody's going slow, and I'm going 40 to 50. And
Yeah.
then, one thing leads to another. My car loses control. It spins. It hits the divider. Um,
Wow.
and yeah, just the front gets, completely smushed, but everything else was okay. But I had to get rid of it.
Yeah. All right. So here's the thing overall, Chris. And by the way, I'm glad you're okay and you learned from that. Now,
Yeah,
overall, you're probably gonna look for a used car. I'm guessing, right? You want a used car.
yeah.
All right. So when you're looking for a used car, a great website is called Kelly's Blue Book. You can find great cars over there. Or, for example, your local dealer, for example, with used cars and ask for a discount. But once you find out the actual value of it, or for example, Car Guru is a good website. But overall, you want to make sure whatever car you do buy, you don't just take the word for someone saying, hey, this car is fine, don't worry about it. No, you want to take that car before you buy it and say, hey, I want to get this car in inspection, right? And take it to a mechanic. And then the mechanic can say, okay, this car is okay or is not okay. Because I'm guessing you're not a car expert either, right?
Yeah, nah. But I have a mechanic in my family, so that's
Yeah.
recently what we did with the car that we had to return. But
Yeah, so
yeah,
then
I
that's
understand you.
perfect. And by the way, sometimes a car, the owner not having the title, sometimes because basically that person is trying to sell, for example, a car with a balance on it. So what happens is when they sell you the car, they use that money and basically pay off the car and then send you over the title to your like and transfer it over to you, right? So it's not always sketchy, but it's always good, for example, to go through an escrow company. That way you can make sure everything's okay.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
understand.
always sketchy, but it's something to look at. Like the
Mhm.
reason why they don't have the. What did he tell you, by the way?
Now he just told me that the day I bought it, he was like, and by the way, I thought the title was in the glove box,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, the day I bought it, he basically said that an older man from Pennsylvania dropped it off, and that he was going to tell his secretary to go and get the title, but he would tell us, call this day. call this day, call this day, and every single time there was always an excuse. And so,
Yeah, that is sketchy. That is sketchy.
hmm
So yeah, if it sounds sketchy, it probably is sketchy, right? But just go over the details
yeah,
whenever you buy a car. But Car Guru, Kelly's Blue Book for the estimate on what the car is worth, and just for example, also Facebook. But just make sure the title is okay and everything. You want to get the title transfer over to your name. Also, that's very important.
yeah, got you.
All right.
Um, just a little quick question. How
Yeah,
would
go
you get
ahead.
the title? How would you get the title switched over to your name?
You gotta go through the process. I'm not sure what the process is in your state, so you
Oh,
can just
okay.
Google it. Be like, just Google it. How do I switch over the title from one owner to the next owner in New Jersey? It should pop up.
Got you. All right. So my second question is, because I'm fairly young. I think I
Mm-hmm.
just recently got into the whole, trying to be financially literate. I think
Mm-hmm.
around like 7, 8 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so like just recently, I've kind of just been, taking it to another level, and I've just been trying to find, the best of everything. And
Okay.
so, I watched a lot of videos, and I've looked for the best savings account, the best checkings account. Um, you know, I'm getting into dividend stocks, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for dividend stocks, to hold on forever, the best dividend stocks, best
Mm-hmm.
brokerage. And now just my question for you is, what banks do you use for savings and checkings, and would you recommend those for me?
All right. So the thing is, by the way, do you have any debt right now?
No.
All right, so awesome. So stay out of debt. But overall, when you talk about the savings accounts and the best one out there, you're basically talking about like pennies and like little dollars, right? Because in reality, whether you get 1% or 1.25% or 1.33% is not actually going to
Yeah.
make you wealthy. What you're looking for is basically security, FDIC insured, and so on, and also convenience and a bank that you actually like. Now, the bank I use is called SoFi Money. It's at a competitive rate, but it's not always going to be the best because there's always competition. And by the way, new banks that come out always want to say, "Hey, we have a higher rate." Then you go over there, then 2 months later they don't have the highest rate anymore, right? You want to look for a bank that you actually like and you actually enjoy. So for me, that's called SoFi Money. And the cool thing with SoFi is that basically, say for example you get paid a paycheck, right? You can actually create sub accounts saying like, hey, this money right here is for emergencies, for my car maintenance or vacation or whatever it is, right? You can put that money into different accounts, like within the same account, and that way your money is separate. Like creating little pies for your money. That's what I like so much about it. And on top of that, you get $1.5 million in FDIC insurance, which most people don't need, including me. But it's good to know that as you keep growing your money and your wealth, you'll have like that access to it. But as far as the savings accounts though, you only really need to have in there around 3 to 6 months of emergencies, and that's it. And like long-term savings goals, but that's all you need. So whether you get, for example, 1% or 1.22% is not gonna make a difference. However, what you invest into is gonna make the most difference.
Got you. So, your savings and your checkings both go with SoFi Money?
Yes. Yes. So basically what
Okay.
happens is SoFi Money is the account where all my money is received and then distributed across everything, right? So once the money is inside there, I can go ahead and say, okay, I'm gonna use Chase for my daily like spending and so on. And then all the rest of the money gets like invested and so on. So it's not really like it's just investments and so on. But my check-ins is basically with Chase is more convenient, they have more ATMs around, and that's why I use them.
Oh, okay.
And it's also
All
cash
right.
deposits.
Got you. Got you.
Now, I want to answer your second question here, right? You asked me, Tommy, I want to get into investing. I'm trying to figure out exactly what's the best investment option for me. Now, I don't recommend you start investing until you have, for example, an emergency account at least with $1,000 inside of it. And then start putting in extra money until you get, for example, at least like 3 to 6 months or so on. But as far as investing, you got to make a choice, right? You're either going to be an active investor, picking stocks, or, for example, a passive investor. Sometimes you can do both, but usually a real active investor won't have the need to actually invest passively because they know what they're doing. But what I do is passive investments, meaning, for example, I put my money into index funds and also ETFs. That way I'm more diversified and I don't carry that much risk. Basically, buying a piece of the whole market or a sector that I'm actually interested in. But when you pick a stock, though, you say picking a business, right? So you got to understand the business as a whole, all of its numbers, for example, the balance sheets, the cash flow statement, the income statements, the 10K form, the 10Q forms. And that takes a lot of work, a lot of time. And the big thing about dividend stock is that basically people think that, hey, I buy this company, it's going to be here forever. But that's not always the case, right? Because remember, for example, 10 years ago, GameStop was like awesome, right? 50
Yeah.
years ago, Apple wasn't all that at all. Like Microsoft was actually beating it. 20 years ago, Netflix was like non-existent, right? So you never know when a company's going to come by and when competition is going to eradicate it. So if you want to be an active investor, you got to learn about investing. And for that, I recommend 2 books, Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham and also Security Analysis by Benjamin Graham. But if all you want to do is just invest your money, grow it over time, get the average return like I do, the answer is you want to read a book called The Little Book About Common Sense Investing, or for example, watch my video on it, How I Invest $1,000. And there's a link down below in all my videos on basically M1 Finance and shows you exactly what I invest into. You can copy that over if you want to. But it's basically an ETF portfolio that's very well diversified and it's for the long term.
Got you. Got you. Yeah. Now my plan is just to, it's more so long term and consistent. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, once I start, I kind of want to just,
Keep
put in money every single week and just like,
Okay.
keep it going. And
All right.
also, start a Roth IRA and do that as well. Just be consistent
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah. So you are you
hmm
employed right now? How much money do you make?
Um, I'm on unemployment right now,
Mm.
so it's like 500 a week, 2,000 a month.
All right. So I would probably use that money to build my emergency account and try to find me a job, right? But once you have a
Yeah,
job, I'd probably recommend, for example, and be careful spending all your money on a fancy car. Just buy a car you actually need. It's gonna be reliable and everything's gonna be solid, right? But
yeah,
overall,
just stay used.
yeah. So overall, once you like do get a job, invest around 10 to 15% of your money, for example, into that Roth IRA and try to max it out. That's all you need to do. All right.
hmm
Also, you should have by that point a full blown emergency account if everything's okay. But then consider, I live in New Jersey. Do I want to save, for example, for a house? If you do, you can save for a down payment for a home also. I know you're 19 years old. And by the way, what did you do for work before the whole thing happened?
I was working at Home Depot, and
Okay. Do you have
yeah,
any interest in like a trade job or going to college or anything like that or increasing your skills?
no, not really. I recently just dropped out. I
What were
gotta
you
set this
doing?
at. I was doing, I switched a good amount, but like that, I switched before my classes that I even started. So first it was an accountant, then I went to business, and then I went to computer science.
Okay. And why do you switch so many times?
Um, and at first it was kind of just all about, okay, I want to go to college and I want to make
Mm-hmm.
money. So I looked at accounting because I'm good at math.
Mm-hmm.
Then I chose business because I heard you can make more money in business, but business is so broad. And
Mm-hmm.
then one time, I was in this car with a family member that we rarely see, and then he
Mm-hmm.
said, you should get into computer science. Computer science is the future. Computers are everywhere. You're good with computers. You should give it a
Mm-hmm.
shot. And then, at first I dismissed it. Then, started looking more into it. And then I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I know some idiots that, are in like computer science. My school was divided into three, like my high school. It was
Mm-hmm.
culinary, computer science, and government. And like, you know, they're like some pretty slow kids who were doing extremely well in computer science.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, just my mentality with that is like, if those kids can do it, then I can. So,
Mm-hmm.
just switched over to that. But then, dropped out just off the fact that, when you're researching online, how to make more money, how to get passive income streams, you learn that number one, you don't need college. And number two, if you just like analyze the whole thing, you see like, hey, I'm really not learning anything. Like, in
All
high
right. So
school, I didn't
let me
cheat at all.
stop you there, bro. All right.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, Chris. Right? It
hmm
sounds like you don't know what you want to do, and you're trying to figure it out. That's the honest truth, right? You tried accounting, you tried business, you tried software engineer, then you learn on YouTube this and that. The truth is that I also went to college. I got an accounting degree. It's there if I want to use it and so on. But there's a cheap way to go to college, right? And by the way, your income is going to be the most important thing when it comes to, for example, building passive income, right? Because if you want to get into real estate, you need some type of money. If you want to get, for example, into the stock market, you need also money, right? So you need some type of source of income. Now, if you do, for example, Home Depot, that's fine, right? But you got to understand also the amount of money you can actually make there is going to be a lot more different. Now, if you do, for example, computer science, and by the way, some kids are just like not that good at certain things, but really good at other things, right? And it's pretty difficult. My friend does computer science, and he's like 10 times smarter than I am, and I could not do that thing. Because it's like being good at computers is completely different than, for example, doing full-on blown computer science. If you want to do that, yes, you can earn a lot of money. Now imagine this, okay, guys? Chris, if you are making, for example, 120 by being a computer science major, right? All that money you actually make with no debt or anything, that's all money you can use to basically get into real estate or keep investing, right? The money you earn is going to be your seed money towards your passive income. The money I make on YouTube by working basically is the money I can use to go ahead and get into passive income. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And as far as, for example, accounting, right? Accounting has nothing to do with math. They tell you that, but all accountants use, for example, a calculator, right? It's nothing to do with math. It's just basically just like recording and everything like that. As far as like business majors, you were right. It is super broad. Now, my advice would be like, do you this, okay? If you want to go to college, but you don't know what you want to do, that's fine. Just research majors that you're actually interested into. On top of that, when you go to college, you know this already, right? You're gonna have to do, for example, general education. You can do that in community college for a very cheap price. You get financial aid and everything else. And once you're done with those 2 years, you transfer over, for example, into a 4-year college, and you do those 2 years there, and you get right into the nit and grit of everything, right? You can pay for it for cash because basically you are working while you watch community college. You can save up that money and pay for it in cash. When you graduate, all that money is yours. Does that make sense? Yeah, but don't look, man. The whole thing of like college, you don't need it, blah blah blah. All these guys saying that stuff is great when something works out. Unless, by the way, college is not that important. It's all about the money you make. So you gotta find, for example, some field that can actually make you money. So for example, if you look at, for example, Graham Stephan, right? He went into real estate. He got a whole license into it, but that gives you a lot of potential for a lot of income. If you want to go into commission jobs, that gives you a lot of money. However, when it comes to Home Depot, there's a cap clearly on how much you can make.
Yeah.
And commission jobs are also not consistent. So you also got to know exactly what type of person you are. If you get consistent income, that's consistent income to go ahead and fund whatever passive income you actually want to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah. You're basically saying, get a trader, get a skill so, you can get consistent work.
Exactly. And with that, and if you don't like it, and by the way, you're usually not gonna like everything you do about your job, right? It's just normal, right? It's not gonna be all happy and greedy. Even Gary Vee says, hey, some days I just don't want to do this shit, right? It's normal, right? But it's all about the reason why you do it. Hey, I'm doing this job for this reason. With this money, I can build passive income. I can have my freedom, and then I have way more choices.
Yeah, I understand you.
Yeah. And look for 3 things, man. Look for 3 things. The 3 things are basically a job you like, you're good at, and it's gonna make you money. If you find that little niche right there, you're gonna be just fine. You're gonna enjoy what you do while making a lot of money, and use that money for passive income.
Got you.
All right, cool. You have any more questions?
Yeah. My third question is, what credit card would you get as a complete beginner?
Okay.
I researched it, and then people usually say I should get a secured credit card.
All right. So, what credit card should I get as a beginner? Now, I used to make a lot of videos about credit cards because basically I used to finesse the heck out of credit cards, but it's a very risky game. Now, the question is, why do you want a credit card?
To establish credit. If I ever want to, get a mortgage or buy a good car,
Okay.
I know that's the first thing they look at.
All right, so the first thing is, Chris, you're debt-free. You don't want to use debt to buy a car. Why? Because that's a depreciation asset, and it's a liability also, right? So you don't want to do that at all. As far as a mortgage, you don't need credit to buy a house. How is that, Tommy? Because basically, when you go to a bank and you say, hey, I want to buy a house, what they want to see is basically your pay stubs, your income, and also your bill history payments, right? They can see that, for example, with your phone bill or your rent payments. They're fine with that. But the idea of like using credit cards to build credit is just an easier way to do it, right? So the bank can be like, okay, easier way to get like approved or whatever. When it comes to building credit, there's only one way I recommend you do it. It's called the one bill method. Meaning, for example, you can start with 2 credit cards. You can get Capital One secured card and also Discover secured card. You can qualify for it. Now, once you get those 2 credit cards, you have, for example, iTunes, or Apple Music, or Spotify, or Netflix, or anything like that, or a phone bill.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just put one bill on each credit card, right? Set the credit cards to auto pay in full, the full amount every month. Grab the cards that you have at home and cut them. This way, you don't get into debt. And this way, you build your payment history, which is the most important thing. And also, utilization stays low, meaning I don't borrow that much money, and the credit card, your credit score is going to love that, right? This way, in 1 year, you have a really good credit score, but guess what? You have no debt.
Got you. And you said cut the cards. What? So like I'm not tempted to use the credit
Yeah,
card?
just cut the cards. Just cut the cards and use, for example, your debit card or cash. This way, everything's being done automatically. You get charged every month your bill, and every single month it gets paid on full. But you're not worried about, hey, oh my gosh, I have this to pay, and it's just taken care of by yourself automatically. That's what I do currently.
Got you. And why is it better to have 2 secured credit cards than one?
You can have one, but having 2 accounts shows that, hey, I can handle multiple accounts, multiple debts,
Oh, okay.
And they also like, for example, like the mix of credit. So, for example, having like credit card debt and also having like student loan debt, having like a card debt. A credit score is just showing that basically you're good at managing debt, right? But in reality, that can also hurt you a ton. So just focus on those 2 credit cards. You pay them off in full every month automatically, and don't worry about anything else. You don't want to get into a car you can't afford. You're a pretty smart kid. You know how to buy a decent car for a good price, and it'll take care of you. That's all you need, though. You don't overthink it. When it comes to buying a house, maybe 3 years from now or 5 years from now, when you have an established income, maybe like 2 years from now, because you only really need like 2 years of pay stubs. But 2 years from now, when you basically have an established income, you can say like, hey, I want to buy a house. I've been paying my bills on time forever, and I also have this much money coming in, right? And they allow you to go ahead and buy a home if you can actually qualify based on your income and how much money you actually owe.
I got you. So auto pay in full. So what that means is your credit cards are going to be connected to your bank account, and then
Yes.
it auto pays in full before the month.
Yes. So you never get charged interest, and you always have a zero balance at the end of the month. This way, you're never being charged interest, and you're also building your credit score. By the way, the 2 most important things in the credit score is going to be utilization, how much money you owe. You always want to keep that low. They like it low. And also your payment history, paying on time. Now, if you have 2 bills of $7 and $15, can you pay that in full every month? The answer is yes, right? It's so small. But if you use your credit card every single day, and before you know you have a massive bill, then you have a massive issue. That's not what I want for you. And interest is very expensive.
Got you. So let's say I have those 2 secured credit cards that you recommended, and on one of them I have a phone bill and a car insurance bill, and then the other I have a gym subscription bill and then a Apple Music subscription bill, and then both of those get put on auto pay.
Just put one bill on each, one bill on each, one bill on each.
There's one bill on each.
The small bills on each, The idea is that I want to make sure that no matter what happens, you always have money to pay that off in full every single month. So you have, for example, your gym membership, maybe like $20, $30, something like that, or $10. That's fine, taken care of. Your Apple Music bill, that's fine, $10 a month, whatever it is. You will always figure out a way to find $20 or $30 even on the streets, right? That's what I don't want. I want to make sure you don't miss any payments because it's gonna hurt you a lot.
Got you. But let's say I am comfortable with paying my expenses every month. Would that be such a bad idea to have 2 bills on each, like cards?
It's all about your risk tolerance, man. Let me ask you a question, right? If right now you weren't on unemployment, how are you gonna pay this stuff, and you didn't have a job? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's why
I have a good amount of savings, but yeah, I definitely understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, but your savings are for emergencies, right? You don't want to use that for a credit card. That's why you want to make sure basically savings is emergencies. Literally, I got into a car accident, my leg is broken. Oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? Like, okay? But you gotta make sure basically just make it simple. Make everything simple. Having 1 bill on each is a guarantee that basically you always have enough to pay it. If you want to do 2 bills on each and you're comfortable with that, that's fine too. But I do the 1 bill method.
Would 2 bills, 3 bills, or 4, like, would that speed up the process of?
No. You're not. You can't. No, man. Don't rush anything. You don't need to rush anything. Again, the most important thing is not, by the way, I can go to a bank right now and say, hey, I have a 788 credit score. Can I buy a house? They're gonna be like, oh, awesome. Can I see your income? Oh, you don't make enough money. Sorry, you don't qualify. Right? The credit score is not gonna be the most important factor when it comes to basically you buying a home and getting a mortgage, right? So don't rush it. It's step by step. Most likely, how much money were you making in the past at Home Depot
Um,
per year?
to I mean, to be honest, I was working the job like during the summer of college. You know, I was still in college
Yeah,
during the time.
yeah. So
Um,
right
I don't really
now,
know.
bro, you're probably not gonna qualify for a house. It's okay. You're 19 years old. You're not. You're not. It's insane. Just relax. Be patient. Your number one priority right now is okay. Build that credit automatically in the back, but also get a skill to increase your level of income. That's gonna be your priority right now. With that skill, if you're making $60,000 or 80K a year or $45,000 a year, that's gonna say, hey, I have a lot of money to have a lot more opportunities out there. Your income is gonna be the most important thing, the most important factor when it comes to wealth building.
Got you. And just a follow-up question on that is like, what are some general like credit card devices you would give a beginner?
That's it. That's the advice. Put one bill on it and pay it off in full every month. The bad thing is that people get a credit card, right? And think, for example, that is easy. Like, okay, no interest for the first like 18 months or whatever. And before you know it, it's the end of the 18 months. You owe a massive bill on it and you have to pay a ton of interest. The way you avoid all that stuff, you still want to do the whole credit card thing, is you just get the one bill method. Put a small bill on it and forget about it. Because just like $14 being deducted from your bill, from your entire like checking account. So that way you never have to worry about it. That's the best thing to do.
So basically, you only get charged interest if you're late on a payment, right?
You only got charged interest if you go beyond the billing cycle.
Oh, okay.
Billing cycles are
Um,
between like 25 to 30 days, I think. So if it goes beyond that, they start charging you interest. Now, interest can range anywhere from 15 to 30 to 35%. So imagine, for example, you buy something for $100. And by the end of the year, you owe $35 extra on it. And then more money and more money. And imagine, for example, you owe $10,000. And every time you make a payment on the minimum, nothing goes towards the capital and everything goes towards the interest. It's that expensive, right? So what I'm trying to do is avoid you from going into any massive debt. How do you do that? You just put one bill on it and you forget about it.
got you. And because I just watched a video about the difference between unsecured and secured credit cards.
Mm-hmm.
This one guy said if your limit in a credit card is 1,000, you don't want to spend more than 30%. So, he basically
That's
said don't
utilization.
that's utilization.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you about. So if again, right, 30%, that's not even 30%. That's not accurate at all. You want to keep it below 10%, right? That's what they like to see. So if you have $1,000
Oh,
limit, right? Again, bro, I'm giving you the advice, okay? I don't want you to use this card to
small
like,
bills. Got you.
yeah, you know what I mean? So just keep it like a small bill. If your credit line is, I don't know, like $100, and you spend, for example, $7, what is that? 7%, right? It's not gonna hurt you, no way, no how. That's why I want a small bill on it. It'll help you a ton more. And you build, for example, your payment history, and everything's gonna be just fine. When you put a lot of bills on it, and before you know it, you start using the credit card for other things, you're gonna be in trouble when you start getting into debt. The average person has around $6,000 in credit card debt. And we're all average at the end of the day, okay? It can happen to you, it can happen to me. That's why I do it this way.
Yeah, no, I always thought credit card companies like they would want the utilization to be good, but like also the payment to be good as well. So like it's good that
Mm-hmm.
you utilize it a lot and then you pay it on time. Like
Well,
I'm over here thinking that's better.
yeah, I mean, credit card companies want one thing, right? They want their money back, and they want to make basically interest on it, right? So the most important thing is, all right, if I'm gonna lend you money, for example, hey Chris, I'm gonna give you $1,000. Can I see, for example, your history? Yeah, okay. I have a line of like $1,000, and I owe $1,000. What does that tell me? It tells me, hey, Chris is already borrowing all the money possible, so why the heck I'm gonna give you more money? It's too risky, right? If I
Yeah,
see also, oh my gosh, Chris, you missed a few payments, I'm definitely gonna give you any money, right? Because I want to make sure I'm gonna get back my capital back. If that's gonna say, no. But however, if I see that, hey, Chris, you've been paying your bills every single month for the past 12 months on time, consistently, that's what I want to see, right? And that's what the one bill method gets you.
Got you. Got you. All right, I got two more questions, and they're pretty quick.
All right, go ahead, bro. It's
Um,
fine.
um, so the next question is why M1 Finance and not Charles Schwab, Fidelity, TD Ameritrade, and etc.
Okay, Charles Schwab, Fidelity, Vanguard, Cash App, Robinhood. You get it? It's a lot of them, right? The
Yeah.
reason I use M1 Finance is basically is the best app for me that I've noticed for long-term investors. Now, here's why. With M1 Finance, you can invest, for example, with $20. But on top of that, the portfolio they give you, when you invest money, they invest it automatically for you in the pie you actually want. So if you want to do 50% stocks, 50% bonds, they do it for you automatically. On top of that, every time you invest money into it, it basically invests the money in the way you want it to be invested. That way, you don't have to say, hey, I want to have to buy this and this and this automatically. No, it does everything for you automatically. It's like the best app when it comes to automatic investing. And on top of that, when you're investing for the long term, for example, right, sometimes stocks are going to outperform your bonds, right? So it's going to send your portfolio out of whack. With M1 Finance, you can basically say, hey, click rebalance, and it does it for you automatically and brings everything back to its balance. But every time you invest, it keeps it. So basically, you never have to do that because whenever you rebalance, basically, you have to sell investments, which means taxes. But if you invest, for example, every single week, like I do, on a weekly basis or monthly basis, that way, you never have to rebalance because basically, it keeps the same balance consistently. So basically, M1 Finance is better because basically everything is more automated. If you do Fidelity or Schwab's or anything like that, usually it's going to require you to go on the app every time you're going to invest and all that stuff. But with M1 Finance, it's automatic. It takes the money automatically, invests it automatically for you the way you want it to be invested. That's what I like about it. It's like hands off.
Got you. Got you right there. And so my last question is, I think I was watching one of your last Ask Bryson's, and then you said you were moving to Tampa, Florida, and I also might be moving there as well this year. So I was just wondering, why did you decide to make that move? Pros and cons of Tampa, Florida.
Well, there's another video coming out, but I'll tell you now, right? I'm actually going to be going to Puerto Rico in April to go check it out, right? Because the reason I moved is because basically New York is great, right? But it's not really great for me because I don't really go to restaurants. I don't go to parties. I don't do all that stuff, right? So the city life is not what I want to pay for. So in New York, I get taxed basically with federal taxes, income taxes, and also, for example, local taxes. 3 types of taxes. So when I was going to go, for example, to Tampa, Florida, I wouldn't have to worry about, for example, income taxes, like state taxes, and also, for example, the entire local taxes anymore. So it's going to save me a lot of money. However, if I go to Puerto Rico, I only get taxed at a 4% level and no federal taxes. That's why I'm going to go to Puerto Rico. But it was always going to be just about taxes. On top of that, I like that in Tampa, basically, it's a lot easier, for example, to get into the real estate market. It's also like the lifestyle's a lot better. It's a personal question, So my advice would be this, okay? If you want to go to Tampa, understand that basically when things are cheaper, wages are also cheaper. If you don't have a skill in New York, you don't have a skill there, you're gonna make even less money down there, right? Because everything has to average out. So that's why it's so important before you make this move that you have a skill. So when you go over there, you can get a good job and earn a decent amount of money so you can get into whatever you want to get into. Now, on top of that, I would recommend when you go there, don't rush anything. Don't try to buy a property your first year or your second year, okay? See the area and see if you actually like it. That's what you want to do before you buy anything. So spend a year there renting, see, hey, I like it, I don't like it. If you like it, you stay. If you don't like it, you move. But taxes was the main reason I was going to move to Tampa, Florida. And also the heat. I don't really like the cold.
Yeah, me neither, bro. But yeah, I got you. Thank you for everything.
All right, brother.
Helped out a lot.
Thank you, bro. And just remember, bro, just be patient. You're 19 years old. Just get a skill. Get a skill, earn some money, and you know exactly what to do with it. Just basically invest and make sure everything's okay. All right?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, brother. Have fun. Peace out.
Take care, man. Thank you.
All right. Peace. All right. So overall, guys, that right there was actually Chris. And I've had a few 19-year-olds actually call me, tell me, I want to buy a house. I want to do this. I want to do this. And I smile, right? Because it reminds me a lot of myself when I was 19 and I first found out about the stock market and how everything works. And I was like, oh my gosh, how do I save so much money to buy a $600,000 house? Or how do I build credit fast? Okay. Everything is fast because you're running out of time. No, you're not running out of time. Just slow down and take it step by step. Okay. But again, the most important thing is going to be patience, but also, for example, your income. Also very important. And your income is based, we live in a free market, right? So if you have a good skill, you're gonna be paid a lot of money for it. If you have a skill anybody else can do, like flip burgers at McDonald's or Home Depot, whatever it is, you won't get paid that much money. Usually minimum wage, although Home Depot is a great place to work. Don't get me wrong here. However, overall, your skill is gonna be the most important thing. There is no fast way to wealth. There's just a lot of ways to mess things up and basically go bankrupt. That is not what I want for any of you. When it comes to credit, I want to build credit. Everyone will say is that. And then before you know it, 2 years later, they're in credit card debt. That's not what I want for you. That's why I always recommend, for example, the one bill method that I created basically. That way you're good to go. That way you're not crazy about like credit card debt or anything like that. No. One bill, you're done with it. That's fine. Pay it off every month. And that way you're solid. Now guys, overall, if you want to join me on my next call, well, link down below. I accept calls Monday to Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. So click the link down below and set an appointment and I'll call you right away about money or any topic you want to talk about, okay? On top of that, I'll see you guys next time. As always, like, subscribe, hit the bell to get notified. And I also have a third channel called The Time Bryson Show. Link down below also where I react to channels and also my main channel, okay? I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching. And as always, peace.